Today is Thursday, February 24th. It's happened. Russia has moved into Ukraine with what President Biden is calling an unjustified attack. What you need to know so far about this still developing story. Also, another trucker convoy is on the move, this time in America, how Washington D.C. is already preparing. Plus, what the latest data shows about home prices, why Siri's voice may soon sound different on your smartphone, and Tom Brady's new starring role after retiring from the NFL. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. We start today with a big development. Ukraine is now officially under attack. This morning, Russia has been launching missiles and airstrikes in Ukraine's capital and more than a dozen other cities around the country. As of this morning, people in Ukraine are still hearing explosions and air sirens. The attacks happened just minutes after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a military operation. He justified the attack, saying it was needed to protect people in eastern Ukraine. The Russian government has also said rebels there have been asking Russia for military assistance to fend off Ukrainian aggression. But remember, American diplomats have been warning Putin would say things like that to get the Russian people to support the war. U.S. officials say it's all lies. The U.S. and several other countries are condemning this invasion. President Biden called it an unprovoked and unjustified attack that will cause, quote, catastrophic loss of life and human suffering. And he promised to punish Russia for the violence. But Russian President Putin has a warning for Biden and other world leaders, too. He says if any countries try to interfere with Russia's military action, there will be, quote, consequences you have never seen in history. Putin also mentioned that Russia is one of the world's strongest nuclear powers and has an edge in several state-of-the-art weapons. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, President Zelensky introduced martial law, meaning the military now has complete control. But he urged Ukrainians to stay home and not panic. Other top Ukrainian officials have said, quote, Ukraine will defend itself and win. Zelensky also announced the U.S. is rallying international support for Ukraine now. But President Biden has made it clear he will not send troops into Russia or Ukraine. He did send service members to NATO countries nearby in Eastern Europe. President Biden plans to speak to Americans directly about this attack later today. Even before Russia's attack, world leaders announced more economic sanctions, trade and travel bans, and other measures. Here in the U.S., President Biden announced sanctions against the Russian government-controlled company that's building the Russia to Germany gas pipeline. That's on top of sanctions we told you about yesterday that target banks and Russia's defense sector. Russia's foreign minister responded to those yesterday, saying Russia is already used to sanctions, so it doesn't change much. But more are likely coming. The White House is also reportedly preparing a ban on technology exports. And the U.S. and other nations could still impose more sanctions, ones that would impact even more banks and the energy industry. Those are more likely to impact ordinary Russians instead of just the government and Russian elites. Already, the international markets have plunged, and oil prices have surged past $100 a barrel for the first time since 2014. This was expected, since Russia is responsible for about 10% of the world's oil supply. An invasion is also expected to damage important pipelines in Europe. Yesterday, the national average for a gallon of gas hit $3.53 a gallon, and that's expected to get even higher now. The U.S. stock market is expected to open lower today as well. A trucker caravan, this time in the U.S., has now hit the road. A group of truckers demanding an end to COVID-19 mandates started a cross-country drive from California to Washington, D.C. Organizers promised a, quote, lawful and peaceful journey, saying they just want to raise awareness, not spark violence. Though the New York Times is reporting many of the people behind the protest also have connections to the riot at the Capitol last January. So this time, the U.S. government is preparing for their arrival in D.C. The Pentagon decided to deploy 700 National Guard troops to the nation's capital. They'll mostly be there to assist with traffic. Capitol Police are also making plans to put back up the fence around the Capitol building. This is just one of several convoys organized online, modeled after what was known as the Freedom Convoy in Canada. As you'll remember, that one clogged the streets of the Canadian capital for weeks and shut down border crossings. This American one is set to reach D.C. by next weekend. For now, there's only about 40 trucks and a few other vehicles making the trek. But one convoy spokesman said he thinks tens of thousands of people will join in as they move across the country. It seems former President Trump's new social media platform could be pretty popular, but it's tough to say because a lot of people who may have wanted to join have not been able to. Since its launch on Monday, Truth Social, as it's called, has been dealing with technical glitches, a 13-hour outage, and a 300,000-person waitlist. Still, it hit #1 on Apple's App Store early Monday. So some people who have been able to log on have noted what testers have said before. It looks a lot like Twitter. The main differences are that instead of tweets, posts are called truths. And instead of retweets, there are retruths. Truth Social bills itself as a platform for free speech. At the same time, the app's terms of service does say that people cannot post anything false, indecent, misleading, profane, filthy, or otherwise objectionable. So far, the company has not said much about the glitches, just that it's been overwhelmed with demand. In the past, the CEO predicted the platform would be fully operational by the end of next month. All right, we have more news coming up still, but first, let's take a quick break to thank our sponsor, Mama Zen. I believe in the philosophy that we have to take care of ourselves in order to be our best for anyone else. I can't be the best mom I want to be if I'm overly stressed out or full of worry. So the Mama Zen app is one way I make sure I'm checking in with myself and dealing with any feelings of anxiety, anger, guilt, or impatience that pop up before they impact my behavior. Mama Zen uses science-based techniques that will change how you react to your children and certain situations. They have short mind power sessions from just 2 to 18 minutes, like one I listened to recently called I'm Becoming a Better Mother with Each New Day. It's a good reminder that I don't have to be perfect and I'm learning. You don't need to use Mama Zen daily to get results either. Even once a week can do the trick. I want you to try Mama Zen and see for yourself how much better you can feel as a mom. Go to your App Store or Google Play and download Mama Zen today. That's Mama Zen, MAMAZEN. Right now, you can use promo code NEWS, and that code will unlock your free 30-day trial so you can try Mama Zen for yourself. New data out this week shows U.S. home prices skyrocketed in 2021. I know it's not a big surprise if you've been on the hunt for a home recently. The Case-Shiller Home Price Index looks at the average cost of a home in major metros across the country. It found American home prices jumped 18.8% over the course of last year. That's the biggest jump since the index began more than 3 decades ago. Experts blame a combination of more people wanting to buy homes to take advantage of low mortgage rates and perhaps to have more space to do things like work from home, alongside a limited number of homes for sale. In fact, the shortage of homes for sale led to bidding wars, pushing the home prices up to those new highs. The low inventory is sticking around for now. The National Association of Realtors says there was a record low number of homes for sale just last month. But the soaring cost of homes does seem to be slowing now, and that trend is expected to continue into this year since mortgage rates are going up. Target is rolling out new perks for its popular drive-up service. Starting this fall with select stores, you can use the Target app to order a Starbucks drink, for example, or make returns, all without getting out of your car. And this is adding new options to the current drive-up option, which already lets you choose groceries or other items online, then pick them up curbside. And speaking of groceries, Amazon is now using its cashierless technology at a Whole Foods store for the first time. As a reminder, Amazon owns Whole Foods. The store that opened yesterday in Washington, D.C. lets customers skip the checkout line completely. It's the same just walk out technology that's been in the so-called Amazon Go convenience stores already. But those stores are a lot smaller. Essentially, shoppers scan a payment method when they come in, like a QR code in the Amazon app or a credit card linked to an Amazon account. Then the store has cameras, sensors, and software to keep track of shoppers and the products they pick up. The second Whole Foods using that same technology is set to open later this year in Sherman Oaks, California. Apple's virtual assistant Siri is reportedly getting a new voice that sounds more gender neutral. Axios reports the latest voice option is less explicitly male or female sounding, and Apple confirmed it was recorded by a member of the LGBTQ community. The public can hear for themselves when the new version of Siri rolls out with the next software update. Axios also says the new voice is part of Apple's push to have more diverse virtual assistants. Already last year, the tech giant added 2 new Siri voices recorded by Black actors. Plus, the company also stopped using a female voice as the default voice for Siri, instead letting users choose. Tom Brady may have retired from the NFL, but that does not mean he's leaving football behind. The 7-time Super Bowl champion will reportedly produce and star in a football-themed movie called 80 for Brady. It's inspired by a true story and follows 4 best friends who take a big road trip to the Super Bowl to see their quarterback hero You guessed it, Tom Brady. The Hollywood Reporter says he'll be working alongside some A-list actors like Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field. Reports also say Brady has been a big part of the project, even using his own company called 199 Productions. Production on the movie is set to start this spring. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. As part of my morning routine every day, I take 2 capsules of Seed's Daily Symbiotic. I take it on an empty stomach, as they recommend, and I just love how they make me feel. So this is a pre- and probiotic 2-in-1 capsule. There are 24 clinically and scientifically studied strains, the first of its kind. It's for supporting gut health, skin health, it promotes heart health, and more. As someone who cares about my whole body health, I was looking for the best probiotic on the market a while back. I did quite a bit of research, and I actually found Seed before I even partnered with them. And now I'm excited Seed is a sponsor of the show because after taking the Daily Symbiotic for a while, I've noticed the benefits of this product on my health. I am truly impressed. In fact, I even got my husband to start taking these as well. And I love that you can now get a discount. You can get 15% off your first month's supply of Seed's Daily Symbiotic by visiting seed.com/newsworthy or by using the code newsworthy at checkout. Again, you can get 15% off your first month's supply of Seed's Daily Symbiotic by going to seed.com/newsworthy or use the code newsworthy at checkout. Okay, now back to Thing to Know Thursday. If you are quick to use your smartphone to scan QR codes, the FBI wants you to be cautious about what you scan next. Those black and white box-shaped codes have exploded in popularity recently. Think that intriguing Super Bowl ad or a lot of restaurant menus these days? Well, since they're so popular now, the FBI says criminals are jumping on the trend too and using them to steal people's data. Cybercriminals may put malware in the barcodes. So once someone scans it, the criminals could access the person's phone, location, and personal information, or even send payments without the phone's owner knowing about it. Another way is for a scammer to put out a QR code that leads to a malicious website to once again steal personal information. So, to avoid being scammed, the FBI says to only scan codes from people or places you trust. So yes, your local pizza place's menu is probably okay, but if you see a QR code on the outside of an ATM or a gas pump, for example, you might want to think twice before scanning. Well, thank you so much for listening today. And if you find this podcast helpful, we so appreciate it if you let your friends, family, and coworkers know about it as well. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.